Richard Lewis back of the Self Protection Essentials. Welcome to part 2 of this, what was intended to be a one-part episode. As I mentioned in the first part, I had to break this into 2 pieces because I'm using the free version of YouTube and they limit me to 15 minutes. The entire episode ran about 24 minutes, including this little buffer piece here where I'm explaining what's happening. I'll probably run around 26 or 7 minutes just because sometimes I tend to talk a lot. In the first episode, I talked about how I got into making wooden weapons and the different kinds of woods that I used and why, and what the benefits were for each kind and the direction I was taking. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you the next step of that evolution. It's moved more into a practical vein. You'll see that momentarily. And like I was mentioning at the close of the first episode, the first part, I don't know what direction things are going to take in the future. Maybe you can have an influence on that. If you like what you hear today, go ahead and give me the thumbs up, put your comments down below, and that may actually influence the direction I take in the future work that I'm doing with wood, both from a pleasurable standpoint and also possibly from a self-protection standpoint. So again, thank you for watching. This is part 2, and yeah, thank you. So not only do I have a flat body here, but as I get to the end, I tapered it wider, and then I tapered it back down to a small section. And what that does, it allows me to put my hand onto this taper, and it gives me a way of gripping. So as I'm putting my weight down into the ground, this taper helps my hand to not slide off. But the reverse taper here, where it's getting fatter, puts more weight at the end, like the Okinawan Joe. So if I did have to hit somebody, I'd have more mass out here at the end and have more power in the stroke. Likewise, at this other end, you can see I've got that taper and then it goes wider again. And I don't taper it down because I don't need to. This is the foot side and it's got the rubber stopper. So I've got more mass down here at the foot so that if I make a strike here, then again I've got a lot more power. In the meantime, this big old rubber foot gives me superb traction. I could walk around with it like this, and I did for quite a while, but it wasn't quite right for walking through the woods because it's just too low. Enter my current generation of this. I haven't truly finished this, as in putting a coating on it of some protective kind like I'd have with all my other tools. So this one is just natural wood, and you'll notice again that it's a lighter color, very reminiscent of that whitish color bow that I had up here a few moments ago. And these sticky things are all over the place on this one. It must have landed in a real mess of them. So anyway, this one is white, as you can see. And yes, it is waxwood, just like that bow was. It's not quite as thin. I didn't quite have the courage to make it as thin as the other one. It does have a little bit of a taper here at the end, but not for the same reason as before. The body is fairly thin. Then you'll notice up here, I've actually got 2 tapers. Wider, narrower, wider, and narrower. And the reason is for that, this stick is taller. This one is the same size as my boken. And you'll notice that the short one that I explained to you a few moments ago is the same height as that first tapered section here. So They are virtually identical as far as that location goes. So that if I was on the ground, I could grab here and get up and my hand won't slip because of the taper. If I'm walking through the woods, having a walking stick that's a bit taller is a nice thing. So this one is about the same height as a regular out in the woods walking stick kind of thing. And this taper again is so that my hand doesn't slip down if I do have to use it to pull myself up from somewhere. Also on this one, I've got another angled taper here going up to the very top because that gives my thumb a place to curl over instead of just biting into the sharp edge. I get to have a little ramp there, and that just increases the comfort level considerably. Now this is a little bit shorter than the white one, which is about 6 foot. This is about 4.5 by the time I finished with it. It's got that extra weight at the end, so if I did need to swing it for something, I've got that mass there. How effective would it be against somebody? I think given the length of it being longer than my the one that's the size of a bokken, and having this extra mass further out there, that it's going to be more effective as a striking instrument than even the bokken was, which, as I mentioned, the Japanese, when they were using it as a training device, they were still breaking legs with it, and if they landed it on head, it would still kill people. So this, upon impact, should be a little bit more effective than the bokken. So, as I was saying before the camera quit recording, the body of this piece is even. Slight taper here at this end, but it doesn't taper down because that's where the foot is. At this end, we've got the taper getting wider, then narrower, then wider again, and narrower. As I explained, this section is for gripping if I'm having to get up off the floor. And this section is for when I'm walking through the woods kind of thing. A bokken to the head can easily kill somebody, even if they've got some kind of helmet protection kind of thing going on. It can still rattle their brain quite a bit. The bokken, as I was mentioning a moment ago, is heavier, even though it's shorter than this by a good bit, about that much to be sure. This is lighter than that bokken is. But even though it's lighter, because of the additional reach and this mass out here past the end of where the bokken would end, if struck to the head, this would probably carry even more energy than the bokken does. So yes, the bokken can kill. It's been shown repeatedly throughout history that a piece of wood that size will definitely kill somebody. This one, even though it's lighter and thinner, because of its length, is going to develop about as much energy as that bokken does. So this too can kill a person or a small animal. I'm not going to put it up against anything big. For that, we have other means of protection. Anyway, this is Richard Liebesbach of the Self-Protection Essentials, wishing you a good day and encouraging you to stay safe. Thank you. Thank you for watching parts 1 and part 2. Well, I'm assuming you watched part 1 of this episode. I didn't expect it to go 2 parts, but it did, because, like I mentioned, YouTube limits me to 15 minutes. I appreciate the time that you spent with me. I look forward to seeing your comments down below. I hope that you give me a thumbs up. But whatever it is, just be honest about it. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. But then turn around and give me a thumbs up too, because, hey, why not? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your comments will influence the direction I take in the future. I'm sure they will. I'm always looking forward to feedback. And again, with all of this and with all I do, I have one great hope, and that is that you stay safe.